Hello everyone, welcome back to another book haul video. I went away to Melbourne for a bit. While I was there, I frequented many bookstores. Inevitably, I am back home with more books. I went to mainly secondhand bookstores and charity op shops and stuff like that, but there were a few independent bookstores that I just really loved, and I'll put some photos up of the ones that I went to. Like, we already know I'm a nerd, but genuinely just being in there, it was the best vibe. I will say though, I was not really adequately prepared for the weather down there. My brother texted me one morning and he was like, hey, just letting you know it's 1 degree outside. And I'd only packed one long sleeve shirt, so I had to do a bit of clothes shopping down there as well. But anyway, so the bookstores that I went to, well, I went to Dymocks just to get one book because I'd gone to so many bookstores here and none of them had it in stock. So the independent bookstores that I went to, I think I went to 3. So the first independent bookstore that I went to was called Hill of Content, and I will put some photos up here. And just being in there, I don't know what it was, maybe it was the lighting, the plush red carpet, I don't know, but it was just exquisite. Like, genuinely, I could have stayed in there for hours, but I had to pull myself away because I was gonna go to another bookstore anyway. After I went to that bookstore, just up the street, literally like less than 50 meters away, there was another independent bookstore called Paperback Books. It was a pretty small bookstore, but it was dense. It was only one room, but every wall was covered, and then inside in the middle there were multiple shelves, so it was kind of like a maze navigating in there. The final independent bookstore, that was a non-secondhand bookstore, was called Readings. I went to the one that is on Lygon Street. So the shelves that they had in the reading store are like my dream bookshelves. It was very lovely to walk through the bookstores and, you know, just see what they have and vibe in there. As for the secondhand bookstores that I went to, the main 2 like actually dedicated secondhand bookstores were Brunswick Secondhand Books, which is on Sydney Road, I believe. I also went to, I think it's called Basement Books, which is in the city. It's near Flinders Street Station. You go down like a set of stairs and then it's basically just this whole basement that is filled with books. So I personally really liked Brunswick Secondhand Books because you go up a flight of stairs and it's basically like someone's house that has been turned into a library. You walk into this kind of living room space, there's a couch in the middle, and then you go off into these different rooms, and all the different rooms have different genres and types of books in there. Honestly, if my house isn't like that in the future, I did also get some books from charity shops and op shops and, you know, stuff like that. Melbourne naturally was a dream to go book shopping in. Also just the types of people that, you know, you would see in bookstores. I came across so many like girls who I'm guessing were around my age, and their outfits and their general vibe, I just want to be them. I just want to be them. I was having the time of my life down there. I was freezing to death kind of as well. As for the books that I got, I have divided it up into little sections so that it's a little bit easier for me to talk about each book. First, I will start off with some classical lit. These ones are, if you can't tell, very much secondhand books. The first one that I got is Daphnis and Chloe, and this is, I think, by Longus. I really like this copy. It looks really cool. The cover looks pretty. I picked this up because I have a poetry book. It's poems from the Greek anthology, and one of the poems is about Daphnis and Chloe. I know Daphnis dies. I don't know if do I put a spoiler warning on that? I feel like that's not really spoiler worthy. I also recognize this name because there is a classical piece by Chopin and it's called Daphnis and Chloe, and I was actually listening to it last night on my drive home from dinner, and I was like, wow, maybe this is a sign that I need to picked this up next. I'm very glad to have this copy. I'm not one of those people where I will like dog ear books and stuff like that. Like I try to take very, very good care of my books, but that won't stop me from buying, you know, these kind of worn editions of books, because if they're secondhand, then that means that they've just been well loved, and I'm just the next person to give it some more love. That sounds weird. Anyways, the next book that I got is The Theban Plays by Sophocles. So if you look at that cover, it is missing parts of it, but we still love it. So anyways, I got one science fiction book, and this one is Solaris by Stanislaw Lem. So it starts off with the main character launching out into outer space to a space station. It gets a bit interesting when he sees a hallucination of someone who he thought was dead. Very excited to read that. The next set of books that I have are the classics. So the first one that I got is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Also, don't you guys just find it really cute when people give books as gifts to other people and then you pick it up and they like leave a little note in there? So the note in here, this was given as a gift because the person who was giving it, this was the first book that they ever read in their whole life, and they read it as a kid, so then he knew the author as Gabo. That is so cute. Anyway, so I got that book. Then I got Breakfast at Tiffany's, so you know, iconic book, iconic movie. Then I finally have a copy of Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. So originally I got Metamorphoses by Ovid. That was not really the book that I was looking to get at that time. I wanted to get this one because it's a short story about a man who wakes up and then he has turned into a bug. You know, relatable content. Then I got Albert Camus' The Outsider. So this one is originally a French novel. The original title is L'Étranger, excuse the pronunciation. So there are English copies of this book where it is also called The Stranger. It just depends on the translation. I believe that this one is translated by Joseph Laredo. Then I got Ernest Hemingway's A Movable Feast. I watched Jack Edwards religiously, and the number of times he has mentioned this book, I feel like I just need to read it already, you know. Then I got this cool copy of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which I feel like everyone has read this. Like, you have to read this for school, surely. So this edition is from the Everyman's Library collection. I have another copy in these editions for Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. So I'm very keen to be adding another one to that collection. These ones are hardback books. So I used to be a hardback book stan. I would only want hardback books. I still love them, but in terms of them being very portable and bringing them around with you and being convenient to, you know, take with you outside to read, they're not really that convenient because, for one, they're heavier. Two, I just feel like you look more pretentious if you're walking around with a hardback book. Will that stop me though? No. So there's that one. Finally, for the classics, I got The Picture of Dorian Gray by the fabulous Oscar Wilde. I'm looking on the back now. This was $1 in America for this copy. Imagine buying books, like new books, for $1. So then I got a lot of non-fiction books because I'm consciously trying to read more non-fiction. So the first one that I got is called The Knowledge Machine by Michael Strevens. And this is basically about how modern science came to be as a, I guess, structure and format for displaying and presenting particular things. I'm genuinely really excited to read this book. Sorry, the next however many minutes that this non-fiction section is going to go for is just going to be me absolutely being a nerd. So if you want to skip ahead, by all means, please do. This is Six Thinking Hats by Edward de Bono. So according to the blurb, this is a groundbreaking psychology manual that will open your mind, unleash your creativity, and change the way you think about thinking. As someone who probably doesn't think enough, maybe this will be helpful for me. Next, I got Proust and the Squid. Is it pronounced Proust or Proust? Marcel Proust? I forget. Anyways, this is by Marianne Wolf, and it is The Story and Science of the Reading Brain. I'm so sorry, I'm such a nerd. So this book, I've already started reading it. This book is about how reading physiologically changes your brain. So it's more the scientific aspect of it. I also got this book, which is called The Gift of Reading, and The Gifts of Reading, sorry. I can't read, I'm actually illiterate. It's a collection of essays on the joys of reading, giving, and receiving books. Very excited to read this one because there are authors in here where I'm really excited to see their thoughts. For example, Marcus Zusak has an essay in here, and I will read anything by him, so super excited for that. So the next one I got is Stephen Hawking's Brief Answers to the Big Questions. I read his other book, A Brief History of Time, last year, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was pretty confused for 75% of it. I got past, I don't even know, the first 4 chapters, maybe 5 if I'm being lenient to myself, and then after that point, I finished it. I just didn't really comprehend all of it. Do you get what I mean? Anyways, for this book, I'm hoping it will be a little bit more accessible in terms of being at my level of understanding. So the final nonfiction book that I got is by Bill Bryson, and it's called A Short History of Nearly Everything. This gives me vibes of that one Bill Wirtz. It's like the entire history of everything ever or something, and it's like a 14-minute video. I don't even know. This is the video I'm talking about. So this is a journey through space and time. I'm very excited to see what this has to offer. The last section that I have are, I guess, literary fiction or new release contemporary fiction. I'll start off with Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Oh my gosh, I literally read this in one sitting. It's a super short book, so you could finish it in like an hour and a half if you really wanted to. This was genuinely just such an entertaining book. So the next book that I have is At Night, All Blood is Black. Already, that title, how is that even possible to come up with a title like that? This is by David Diop, and it was originally written in French, I believe. Already, beautiful title, beautiful cover, and oh my god, beautiful writing. This book rewards rereading. The end left me stunned. I'm gonna force all my friends to read this. Anyway, so the next book that I got is called When We Were Orphans by Kazuo Ishiguro. So this is going to be the second Ishiguro book that I have read this year. I am almost done with it. All my tabs, I've gone a bit overboard with the tabs, but there's just so much to tab in this book. This one is a detective mystery novel. There is a lot of political unrest and conflict and context that I had to read up on to understand what was going on in this book. Honestly, it made it more enjoyable because, you know, I don't really know that much about historical events in general. Being exposed to it in a book made it a lot easier to be interested in. I'm also doing a buddy read of this book with Chloe, who lives in London. So if you guys want to check out her Instagram, this is the handle. I'll also link it down below. It's been super fun so far, sharing notes on every chapter. She has definitely picked up on so many things that I just completely did not notice or did not figure out. And it's also just nice to discuss a book with someone else who has read it. So I will be making a separate video in the future once we've finished it. So I'm very excited. Once again, go check out her account below. Finally, the last book that I have is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. I heard Jack Edwards talking about it. He didn't really give it a completely positive review, but I still wanted to read it anyway. I want to be able to make my own thoughts on the book as well. So those are all the books that I've got. I have already finished some of them. Thank you again very, very much for watching. I have 2 classes today and also work, so kind of a packed day for me. Yeah, hopefully I will see you guys very soon. And have a wonderful day as well. All right, goodbye.